Hello, welcome back to another video on astrology, and we have with us Dr. YVS Subbarao back again with us, and we are very happy that he has consented to do a series of videos with us. And in the previous videos, there were a lot of questions in the comments section, and I have requested him to take up a few questions and give us the answers that everybody is waiting for. And over to Dr. YV Subbarao. Thank you for meeting us again, sir.
Thank you, sir. I shall begin with the first question. One of the commentators has asked me.
Okay. You are referring directly from the YouTube channel, sir?
Well,
You have taken
doing it directly. I have noted down these things on a paper.
On a paper. Okay, fine.
Yes. I said that astrology is the derivative of astronomy. The commentator has said vice versa, that astronomy is derived from astrology. Astrology was the first in the chronology.
Oh.
Actually speaking, I would like to draw the attention of the questionnaire to the fact that Vedic paradigm, what we call it, the Vedic literature, all the Vedas, consists of categorized into two classes.
Okay.
The first part is Paravidya and the other part is Aparavidya. Both these things are contained in the Vedas. Paravidya is about the Paramatma, that is the transcendental sciences, to attain enlightenment and liberation or salvation from the death birth cycle. The Aparavidya is to make the life living easy. So these are all referring to material sciences. The material sciences have gone to the extent of that the modern science is yet to come up a fraction of it.
Okay.
That is the extent to the Veda sciences have gone up. Therefore, astronomy is very much there in that. And one of the categorizations of Vedas, the summum bonum of Vedas is Vedangas. There are 6 Vedangas, and Jyotisha is one of the Vedangas. So this Jyotisha means in Sanskrit both astrology and astronomy. Astronomy first and astrology next. That is, it consists of again the Siddhanta Bhaga, the Ganita Bhaga, and the Palita Bhaga. Therefore, the Siddhanta Bhaga itself is astronomy. The Ganita Bhaga is astronomy. Palita Bhaga is astrology. So, astronomy and astrology have developed simultaneously according to Vedas. And therefore, astrology is the life side of astronomy, the derivative of astronomy. If we can go a little further, I can say that astrology is astrobiology also.
Oh, okay.
So that's the first question one of the commentators has asked. I think I have clarified him enough.
Yes, sir. Anyway, when we do the horoscope, first we have to look only into the astronomy part, right? Only with the astronomical positions, we are able to draw them into the horoscope and then begin to read it. So surely it should be only astronomy first and then astrology.
Yes, you are right.
Thank you.
The second question is the concept of Ayanamsha. And we are not dealing presently the Siddhanta Bhaga, where does the zodiac begin, is a big controversial point all over the world between the East and the West. It requires a complete astronomical approach. And that doesn't come in the present setup of genesis of astrology. Okay. So I am reserving it for a later date.
Okay.
The third one is, he has asked for Karva Chauth is one of the festivals that are being observed exclusively by the women in North India. 4th day after the full moon.
Okay.
That is during the waning moon, the 4th day. They do some special, that's a special festival in North India, just to signifying the Rabi crop of wheat. A similar festival is being drawn in Andhra Pradesh called Atlataddi.
Oh.
on the same day, similar to that. So I find not much of significance in that, except that the fourth day after full moon, the whole thing is agriculture comes under moon significations. They make actually some puja festival for the harvest, for the planting of this Rabi crop and also for the rice crop. Rabi crop, wheat crop in the north and rice crop in south.
Okay.
That's one. There's not much of astronomical significance except that agriculture comes under moon, and therefore the fourth day after the moon seems to have been taken up because fourth day signifies Kshetram or the land.
Okay.
The next one is Rahu and Ketu. Why should they be taken and used in predictions? When one refers to elementary literature in astrology, especially Varahamihira stands an excellent one. He has dealt with all the preliminary and elementary things like Kalyana Varma, Parasara, Hora, Shastra and all these things. Rahu and Ketu are naturally the most powerful of all the planets.
Oh.
They have got the maximum strength. The reason being that they are not assigned any signs in the lordship of the signs in the horoscope. Still, they occupy any one of the signs. So the Lord of they give the effects of the Lord of that house more than the Lord because of the loyalty.
Okay.
So when we expect a result, to say for instance during Puja's period, when Rahu is placed in that Puja's house, Rahu gives a greater result and effect than Puja. Therefore, Rahu and Ketu are more important and they have to be placed in the horoscope because they are also modulating the sunlight.
Okay.
You said Artha is excluded, that Lagna is the representation of the position of the Jataka and Artha, and hence it is the Atsu position in the zodiac, one of the commentators has said.
Okay.
We are standing on the Artha, and Artha is a moving observatory from which we can observe all celestial bodies in the sky. So Artha position cannot be measured on which we stand. Therefore, the real motion of the Artha is the apparent motion of the sun. So the Artha is excluded and sun is included.
Okay. Everything is only from the point of view of Earth.
Yes.
Yes.
But directly we cannot measure the Earth.
Okay.
Only at one point on the Earth. We can only measure with our telescope, pointing towards the sky. Earth has the station and all other celestial bodies have the objects to be observed.
Good, sir.
And regarding this C.V. Venkatrao, CVV and Ekiral Krishnamacharya, one of the persons has asked me about that, whether I have got any connection with spirituality and all that. Of late, I have developed astrology in the Hindu religion and Hindu culture, and in that we have also a great connection of astrology towards liberation. In fact, I have written several papers and also several books on that. Astrology is not merely for knowing the material prosperity of the person. He should derive some philosophy out of it. What are all the grey areas for which we are the cause? How to rectify them? And what are all the green areas that we have so that we need not work for it anymore? They will be automatically conferred because of our past good actions. It's only for the grey areas we have to work our horoscope for better living, better life next one. So it is in that sense that spirituality is very much concerned. And astrology connected to spirituality, that CVV has worked in Ekiral Krishnamacharya, one place in Andhra. He has developed a group of people in Kavali, near Nellore. They happened to visit the Oriental Science department in our university, who also happened to meet me. And by that time, I had some idea and all that. They appreciated, they wanted to proceed. So that way I have worked some portion of it. So I do not know much about these people personally. But Ekirala Krishnamacharya has sent his group of people to me.
Very good, sir.
Only that. Another gentleman asked for a prediction about giving the positions of the planets. I am actually skipping it.
Okay.
And another one person has asked for Proxima Centauri or Alpha Centauri. These are the stars nearest to the sun. It has no whether it has any connection with Aries or any such thing. Beginning of the zodiac or something. I said they have got nothing to do with it. The sun is the nearest star to the earth. And these things are not considered. These are nearest to the sun but not to us.
Okay, okay.
And he also, one of the commentators has put a critical question that some people are very vehement criticizing astrology.
Okay.
Why did you not come up and then attack such people and all that? It is only for, it is left to one's own pleasure and will to actually take up any particular. All people cannot have interest in all subjects. Therefore, we cannot force anybody.
But sometimes, sir,
Yes, sir.
They come, they visit the website, they watch the video on astrology, and then comment. That means they have an interest in astrology. That's why they're coming there in the first place. They're looking for some information, and then towards the end, sometimes they criticize also. But at least we know that they are interested in astrology.
And one gentleman asked, when there are 27 asterisms, so many stars in the galaxy, in the universe, why only 27 are taken? What is the rationale behind it? Of course, this has to be answered with the slide.
Okay.
For the benefit of the viewers, I have put the actual list of topics to come.
That's very nice of you to have done that, sir.
And some of the questions are related to topics that are yet to come. So I am conveniently skipping them and reserving it for automatic answers from the topics when we discuss.
Beautiful, beautiful, sir. That makes sense, yes.
So this is the rational days of the week, rational of sequence of weekdays of Rahu column, rational of significance of natives relations, rational of triplicates of elements, rational of special aspects of exterior planets, rational of exaltation and debilitation of planets. Immediately to come up are these topics.
Oh, so there is an actual reason why planets are exalted and debilitated at certain points.
Yes.
So that will be very interesting for all of us.
And that goes to actually prove the Vimshottari Dasha system also to some extent. That's why I have put them in earlier. And Vimshottari Dasha system, I have taken up so many things to be explained in order to arrive at Vimshottari Dasha system.
Okay, very nice, sir. Rational of lordship of signs, rational of colors of planets, rational of interior and exterior planets, rational of positions of Rahu and Ketu in Vimshottari Dasha system, rational of planets extends. Okay, the allotted years for each Dasha. Okay. Fantastic, sir.
Now I will answer the question of the commentator.
Okay.
He has asked that why only 27 are taken when there are billions of stars in the universe.
Okay.
And this, on the left side of this slide, one can see a colored photograph in a circle. That is the celestial sphere. That is the universe with the yellow line.
Okay.
And the red line is actually the celestial equator shown here. The celestial equator divides the entire universe into two halves, two hemispheres.
Okay.
The green one, which is an oblique to the equator, is the ecliptic. This is the center line of the zodiac. The center line of the zodiac means the zodiac is like a belt.
Okay.
So this ecliptic will be seen in the bigger picture on the right side, the globe,
correct,
universe as it is. The red line is actually the ecliptic. Here the green line is the ecliptic. It is shown here in the small one. And here the same thing is shown in red line, dotted line. That's the ecliptic. That is the center line of zodiac.
Hats off to you, sir, for making such wonderful slides. It should have taken a lot of time for you to do it. So thank you once again. On behalf of the viewers, I have to say this to you. Please continue.
So the red dotted line is actually the ecliptic. So this whole one, this belt, is 16 degrees width. That is called the zodiac. It is also called as Milky Way, through which our solar system and other planets, everything will move in that. They won't go beyond these two lines.
Okay.
16 degrees on either side, that is 8 degrees on either side. The whole width is 16 degrees. It is comprehensive enough for all the planets to move.
Okay.
There are about 88 constellations. The commentators should distinguish between a single star and a group of stars. A single star is different and group of stars is called a constellation. There are 88 constellations at random in this belt, in this zodiac.
Okay.
27 are found to be equidistant.
Wow.
And those 27 are serving as like a lamppost around a circular stadium, equidistantly placed. So they serve as the measuring units. Just as on a tape we have got inch tape or anything. These 27 stars help to measure and they also help us for chronology. And further, why these 27 are taken is that the moon transits 13 and 1/3 degrees in a day. And he makes, in 27 days, he makes one complete revolution of 360 degrees. So the distance between one star and the consecutive one is 1 day. Okay. So this is considered as 27 days the moon's revolution, and they are placed there. The moon daily keeps company with one star and then leaves to give company to the other star like that. It is also said in Vedas that moon has wedded 27 stars from Ashwini to Revati. So he spends 1 day with each star. So this is actually to measure the distance of between them in the zodiac. And with reference to these things, we measure the planets which are moving in that belt.
Okay. So can we say that there are actually, like on a measuring tape, there will be 27 points in the sky that is easily, notable?
Yes, they can be seen also.
Okay.
Ashwini represents 2, horse face.
Okay.
That is represented by 5. In Varamira's Brihad Jataka, it is clearly mentioned that in the chapter on in Varamira's Brihad Samhita, volume 2, 98th chapter, 866 page, a total description is given. So each star is a constellation. That's why they are called lunar constellations.
Okay.
These lunar constellations are a group of stars. And each constellation has certain groups. And these things added will be 240 stars for these 27 groups. They are not uniform. Each constellation has a different number of stars.
Okay.
And these stars, when joined, will give different shapes and other things, which we can observe. Ashwini, horse's face; Bharani, the female's genital organ; Kritika, the barber's razor; Rohini, the chariot. So these are all the things that can be observed even in the sky today.
So the 16, wide, the width is 16 degrees. That is equal. That is the something like a latitude can be equated to the latitude.
You are right. You are right. It is the width, and so the latitude and latitude changes from place to place. That's why the latitude is important in the birth time of the person, because he might have been born elsewhere along with zodiac. So the planets will naturally move. The latitude will be different because it is inclined.
Okay.
It will be nearer to the equator at one point, some points, and farther away from the other points.
Got it, sir.
And
Thank
these are the shapes of the 27 stars. Groups of stars is called a constellation. These are 29 with 9 in each row. 27 stars I have put it. So they resemble some shapes. And someone has asked why we have taken only some of the planets that we are using, complete planets we are using, are mentioned in some of the scriptures also.
Okay.
In Venkateswara Suprabhatam, the great saint and the reciter of the Venkateswara Suprabhatam, Prativadi Bhayankara Anna. That is, Prativadi Bhayankara Anna means for those who enter into argument with him, debate with him. He is a very faithful man.
Okay.
And so they cannot withstand his arguments. He has actually recited Venkateswara Suprabhatam, in which he has given a sloka mentioning Suryendu Bhauma Bodha Vakpati Kavya Sauri Sarvanu Ketu. So the 9 that we are using in astrology are mentioned. He says, Devishat Parishat Pradhana Tadasa Dasa Charamavadhi Dasa Dasa Sri Venkatachalapate Tav Suprabhatam. That is, Charamavadhi means in all, they all stand in row. And in the last row are these planets. The first people who to visit Lord in the morning at Brahma Muhurta time are the Saptarshis. And thereafter all other people. Last row, last group of people are the planets. And we are under their control. So when are we going to reach the Lord overpowering the entire queue?
Okay. So there's a long way to go.
Is our earnest desire. And astrology helps us in that way. What is the background of deriving Usottara Dasha system? That I have reserved it when I deal with it. And the last question is, he has expressed a question and answer himself.
Okay.
That why use Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto? Already we are breaking our heads with the existing 9. Why add 3 more?
Okay. Okay.
And
I also saw that.
With nanoseconds and nano levels measurements, where are we going to? And that is the question he has put in the end. And the whole thing comes under the astrology for all times, for all people, with the exponential rise of population, which will be dealt at a later date.
Okay.
So there is a permissible error to which we can go. Though there are many subdivisions or ancients are given up to Shodashamsa and all that, Shashtamsa, everything.
Shashyamsa.
We cannot go to that level. We reasonably limit ourselves to Navamsa. The reason is Navamsa, one house itself is 13 and 1/3 minutes. 13 minutes. 13 and 1/3 degrees. And that takes about a few minutes. And if we go further and further, no two watches agree. How can we go to such a sensitivity which we cannot reach? And there are a number of Siddhantas regarding the birth of the child. So there is again a dispute in that, which time has to be taken. There are some stillborn children. And today, many of the operations of childbirth take place by cesarean. The whole body is lifted. So these are all varying questions to be answered in a critical manner.
Good, sir. So
now we should go to the first slide part of it. The names of the days of the week, the rationale behind it. In Varahamihira's Panchasiddhantika, it is clearly said that the planets are considered for naming the days of the week. Just as sun signifies Sunday, moon Monday, Kuja Mars Tuesday, Mercury Wednesday, Jupiter Thursday, Venus Friday, and Saturn Saturday. These are all the names derived after the lordship of the names of the lords of the day. But why is the sequence? The planets in the solar system, the sequence is totally different from that of the sequence of the days of the week. The days of the week are signified and the lots of those days are different. That sequence is different from the sequence of the solar system. So we can now clarify that how it is arrived by means of a slide. The planets in the solar system, the distances at which they are placed goes on increasing from the sun, with Mercury the nearest planet to that of Saturn the farthest. The distances are enormous, that they are simplified and measured in science as astronomical units, AU, simply called AU.
Correct.
And what is AU? And what are the distances to the planets? How the ascending order of distances of these planets in the solar system is considered for the genesis of the names of the days of the week. We shall consider in the slides, 2 or 3 slides, for the benefit of the viewers. We shall now share the slides with
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
names of days of the week. What is an astronomical unit AU? So these planets are not moving, orbiting around the sun in a perfect circular manner. They move in an elliptical order. And therefore, they come nearer at one point and they go farther at another point. Going farther is called apogee, and coming nearer to the sun is called perigee. So this point is called aphelion and this is called perihelion. So there is a difference between the distance between the sun and the farthest point, and the sun and the nearest point. The mean of these two, the average of these two, is coming to 93 million miles, is one astronomical unit. So such a large unit is not spelled in millions of miles, but it is only said in one astronomical unit, AU. The next one, we have got here two systems, the heliocentric system and the geocentric system. It was considered in the beginning of astronomy that all the planets, including the sun, move around the Earth. That was Kepler's statement. He was earlier to Copernicus.
Okay.
And Kepler was afraid to say, even though he knows the truth, as astronomy history says, he was afraid of mentioning that, afraid of the clergy and the church, of speaking the truth. So he said that all planets, including the sun, are moving around the Earth.
Oh, yes.
And escaped punishment from the kings. Then Copernicus somehow ventured, because with the efflux of time and science has developed, Copernicus ventured to come out with the truth. So he stopped the sun and moved the Earth. That means he said that sun is the center and the solar system, and the Earth is also revolving like other planets around the sun. That is Copernican theory. That is called heliocentric theory. Kepler's theory is geocentric theory. But both these theories are applied in astrology as also in astronomy for space technical calculations. Both these systems are used for calculations in space technology also, as also in astrology. So this is the sequence of actual sequence of planets in the solar system, with the sun in the center, and all the planets are revolving around it. The other one is the Earth as the center, and all the planets revolving around it, including the sun. So here in the arriving of the days of the week, for purposes of humanity, the geocentric system is considered as Earth is the center.
Okay.
In the ascending order of distances shown here in green, in this yellow color, Sun starts with 0 AU, Mercury 0.4 AU, Venus 0.7 AU, Earth is 1 AU. So the distance between the Sun and the Earth is considered as 1 AU, 1 unit. and everything else is a fraction or multiples. Nearer things are fractions and farther things are multiples. This is 1.6 AU is Mars, 5.2 is AU is Jupiter, and 9.6 AU is Saturn. So Varamihira says in his Panchasiddhantika that the fifth successive planet in the geocentric system, the fifth successive planet from the moon. Why starting from the moon is? Moon because he refers to his motion, angular motion to linear motion of 1 day. 13 and 1/3 degrees he moves per day, and that is called converted to linear time of 1 day. Therefore, moon represents always the time orders. Even moon also gives the balance of birth at the balance of dasha at the time of birth. So moon always starts the time orders. And in finding out the sequence of the days of the week, moon is considered as the first sign. From the first one, the successive fifth, that is 2, 3, 4, 5, the successive is Tuesday. So the successive fifth in the ascending order of distances. This is the ascending order of distances. And so from the moon, in the ascending order of distances, the successive fifth planet is the succeeding day of the week. This can be further seen very easily in the next one. So here the lights are glowing. The first one is Monday. And the successive, I have put in blue color, the sequence of the days of this solar system in the geocentric method. The blue color, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn. I have put it in the outer circle. And they represent the Moon Monday, Mercury Wednesday, Venus Friday, like that. So we shall see that the succeeding fifth day in the solar system is the subsequent day of the week. So for Monday, the next day is Tuesday, we know it. But that is the fifth successive day in the solar system. So you can see it. Now first moon is glowing here and fifth one is Mars Tuesday. The fifth one successive in the solar system. The second one is to Tuesday as the first. The successive fifth is Wednesday. So Tuesday is the first. The successive fifth day is Mercury, Venus, Wednesday. To Wednesday is the first. We shall see what is the successive fifth day. If Wednesday is the first, the successive fifth day from Wednesday is Thursday. If Thursday is the first, the successive fifth day should be Friday. To Friday, the successive fifth day is Saturday. To Saturday, the successive fifth day is Sunday. To Sunday, the successive fifth day is Monday. And to Monday, the successive fifth day is Tuesday. This is how in the sequence of solar system, in the ascending order of planets, the successive fifth day is the subsequent day of the week. So starting from Monday, we get the sequence, the fifth day is Mars, so it signifies Tuesday. And if from there, we measure the fifth day in the solar system, it will be Mercury, that is Wednesday. Measuring from Mercury, the fifth planet will be Jupiter, and therefore it will be Thursday. I think I have made it clear with the diagram.
Very interesting.
The next one also similarly put in the sequence of the week days of Rahu. Here also the sequence of the sun, planets in the solar system are different entirely from the sequence of the days of the Rahu column in the week. Immediately after Monday, we have got Rahu column on Saturday. 7:30 is Monday. 9:30 comes only on Saturday, the sixth day.
Okay.
So how the sequence has totally changed from that of the sequence of the planets in the solar system. There is a great rationale behind it, which Varamihira has explained. I have explained this also in astrological way. So the planets in the solar system, in the ascending order of distances, I have put in here, with Sun as the first, Mercury, Venus, Moon, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are there in the solar system. Here I have put in the sequence of days of the rock column. After Monday, it is Saturday. 7:30 to 9, it is 9 to 10:30 approximately. 10:30 to 12, and like that it goes on. The last one is 4:30 to 6 on Sunday. This is the sequence of rock column days. So, Varahamihira says that in this solar system, the successive fourth day from the moon is always considered as the starting point for measuring the time, because he refers to moon always moves 13 and 1/3 degrees, that is equal to 1 day, and therefore for all the time, in terms of days, months and years, it is only the moon that is counted. So from the moon, here also I have put in 2 lights are glowing. Moon is the first day, signifying Monday. We know that Saturday falls on the 4th as the next day for the Rahu Kalam timing. Rahu Kalam starts at 7:30 to 9 on Monday. The next immediate day is Saturday for 9 to 10:30. So Varahamihira says the next day in Rahu Kalam, to continue the day of Rahu, it is the Saturday. Starting moon as the first, it is the fourth one is Saturday. Saturday is the first, the next one is Friday. Friday as the first, we find Jupiter as the next one. That is Thursday. So Thursday as the first, it is Wednesday. To Wednesday as the first, it is this. And Tuesday the first, it is Sunday. And Sunday as the first, it is Monday. We have completed the entire circle. The sequence of the days are seen. So why the fourth successive day is the Rahu Kalam times of the day? And why the fifth is the succeeding day in the week from the sequence of the solar system? The fifth day is considered because it is the starting day of the Jivatma. As we see the lordship of the signs, the fifth house is called the Jivatma. That is the beginning or the birth of the child, when the horoscope starts. And therefore, the fifth day in the succeeding fifth day in the solar system is the day of the week. Similarly, in the successive fourth day is the next Rahu Kalam day in the sequence of Rahu Kalam timings is. In astrology, the fourth house signifies material prosperity. Rahu's tendency is to spoil that material prosperity if any activity is attempted during his 1.5 hours time. Therefore, the successive fourth day is the Rahu Kalam time for that day. That is the rationale behind the successive fourth day as the Rahu Kalam day in the sequence. The next one is we shall go to the names of the relationship of the native with his family members, signified by the different houses. Here, the Lagna always is the rising sign or the ascendant or the Lagna called by different names, signifies the native, the owner of that horoscope or that chart. His relatives are signified by the different houses of the zodiac, the horoscope. The first house stands for the native. The third house stands for his younger siblings. The fifth house stands for his children. The seventh house stands for the spouse. The ninth house stands for father. The 11th house stands for the elder siblings. There is a mathematical maxim. Astrology includes mathematics also. There is a mathematical maxim that the sum of the 3 angles in a triangle is always 180. Whatever be the shape or size or area, whatever it is. Similarly, in astrology, The significations given are not flexible, they are rigid and are permanent. Therefore, it is called a mathematical maximum. Therefore, the significations of the various houses signifying the relatives, the immediate family members of the native, are permanent and are inflexible or are rigid. This is similar to mathematics, like the three sides, the three angles summing up to 180 degrees, irrespective of size, shape, or area, or whatever it is. Now I shall leave this and show it by a slide. This is the mathematical maximum of house significations. Regarding the significations of the relations of the immediate family members of the native. In the beginning, I said that all the planets are situated in the sign Aries, and Rahu in Libra at the beginning of the Svetavara Kalpa, that is the beginning of the universe. And from that moment onwards, the set starting and revolving. So if this premise is true, and that Aries is considered as the Lagna for arriving at the house significations, Aries is considered, and all the principles are generated or derived from that point as Aries as the Lagna. If this premise is true, the next slide must prove the premise as correct. Here I am showing the Aries as the Lagna, which signifies the native, the owner of the chart. The third house signifies younger siblings. The fifth house children, the seventh house spouse, the ninth house father, and the 11th house elder siblings. If this is true, Aries is considered as the Lagna at the time of the beginning of the astrology subject itself, beginning of the universe. These are the significations given for this. And later on, they are made universal, whether it is Taurus or Gemini or Cancer, whatever be the Lagna. The third house always signifies younger siblings, and the seventh house always signifies spouse, the ninth house father, like that. Now we shall consider in this. For the native, the third house signifies younger siblings. Considering younger siblings, what is the relationship of the native to these younger siblings? He is the elder brother or elder sister. Native will be the elder sister or elder brother, signified by the 11th house. So counting from here, the Lagna is the noun 11th house. So the reverse converse is true. If the third house signifies younger siblings, the 11th house signifies elder brothers or elder siblings. So to the native, these are the younger, and to the younger siblings, the native is elder. Similarly, to the native, the fifth house signifies his children. To his children, he is the father. Father is signified by the ninth house. So counting from children, we find native as the ninth house. Similarly, from the spouse, seventh house, the seventh house, from there, the native is the spouse. And from the ninth house father to the native is fifth house to the father. Similarly, for the elder siblings, native's 11th house signifies elder siblings. To the elder siblings, he is the younger sibling, third house. Counting from that, he is the third house. Therefore, the significations given of the immediate family members for the native in the horoscope are permanent and can be verified when the converse is also true, it can be verified. And this principle, having derived from Aries as the Lagna, is in tune with the beginning of the planets being in celestial conjunction in Aries at the time of Svetavara Kalpa. And later on, this third house signifies younger siblings, fifth house children, ninth house father, like that, has become generalized and made universal for all the Lagnas.
Sir, can I ask a question here?
Yes, sir.
on behalf of some of the students,
Yes.
by using the same logic, if you say the ninth house is house of father, the father's wife is the mother. So if
Yes.
you count, but generally we know fourth house is mother. So here it doesn't tally. So many
It
people
doesn't come in there.
yeah. So in North India, many people say 10th house is house of father because that way you could explain. But though the classical textbooks have been very clear that it is a ninth house which is the house of father. So
And
sometimes
fourth house somehow, under this mathematical maxim, this is not fitting in.
okay.
The result being, in the lordship of the signs of the horoscope, we can easily find out why the mother is excluded in this particular context.
Okay.
And one thing I can say here is that 10th house signifies not only profession, that is also called in Sanskrit as karma. Karma means an action.
Okay.
It is also in the bad omen that it signifies obsequies to parents.
Okay.
The 10th house signifies obsequies to parents means on the death of the father, that is the 9th house, 10th house is the second house to the 9th house.
The Maraka house for 9.
Maraka house. Therefore, on the death of the father, the obsequies are performed signified by the 10th house. Okay. Similarly, for the mother, signifying the 4th house, 10th house is 7th house to her. That is the death inflicting house, which is also signifying obsequies to the parents.
Okay.
So the 10th house is the second house to the 9th house, and the 7th house to the 4th house. 4th house mother and 7th house, 9th house father, to both the parents, signifying the obsequies is carried by the 10th house.
Interesting points. So we will take a break here and we'll continue next Thursday again.
Sir.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm sure there will be a lot more interesting, interaction between the subscribers and you, because you also brought into this session more facts about that these are not randomly allotted the weekdays, or everything has an order and a sequence. So beautifully described. And I can't help wondering how how difficult it is to make these kind of quality slides, which every subscriber also has noticed. So on behalf of the subscribers, I would like to once again thank you for all your efforts, and we wish to hear more from you next week. Thank you so much.
I expect more comments from the viewers.
Yes, sir.
That means the interest in learning further and further the sacred subject.
Definitely, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. We have come to the end of this video. In case you have any doubts, please type them out in the comment section, and whenever I find the time, I'll answer them for you. And see you soon in my next video.